A whisper in the dark shattered my world. I wondered if it was a vow of love from the woman I trusted most or a secret clawing its way into the light. I pulled up outside the bar. Neon lights flickered like a bad omen. Tessa stumbled out. Her laughter was sharp and unsteady. Her eyes gleamed, glassy from too many drinks. She thrived in her job planning events, always the life of the party. Tonight she was a mess. I caught her as she tripped. Her arms looped around my neck. Her breath was hot with vodka. We reached our apartment. I half carried her up the stairs. Her heels dangled from one hand. She spoke then, her voice low and slurred. She said she would never hurt me, that I deserved the whole damn world. Her lips brushed my cheek. She giggled. Those words lodged in my chest like a splinter. I froze. My heart stuttered. The words were sweet, yet something felt off. I had heard sweet before. Years ago another woman swore she would never betray me. She did, tearing my trust to shreds. That scar lingered. Now Tessa's words echoed in the hollow space it left. I pondered if she meant to reassure me or if something happened at the bar. My mind spun. I considered if some guy hit on her or if one of her friends did something foolish. I thought perhaps she was just drunk, talking nonsense. Each idea tightened the knot in my gut. I lay awake that night. I stared at the ceiling. Tessa snored softly beside me. Her words looped in my head, relentless. She had said she would never hurt me. I wanted to shake her awake and demand clarity, but I held back. I had learned rushing to judgment could burn bridges. I grabbed my phone instead. I spilled my fears onto an online forum, seeking sense from strangers. Replies poured in, varied and conflicting. Some labeled me paranoid, insisting drunk talk meant nothing. Others urged me to ask her plainly, no games. One comment lingered. If she knows your past, she might have aimed to ease your fears. Drunk logic. It seemed plausible, yet the storm inside me raged on. My phone buzzed the next morning. A text from Lucas, a friend who had been at the bar with his crew, arrived. He said he saw Tessa last night. He mentioned her friend Harper stirred up drama with her guy, Owen. He described their argument as loud enough to wake the dead. My pulse spiked. I pondered the nature of this drama. I typed back, probing for more, but Lucas stayed vague. He only said it got heated. Harper had stormed off with some random dude trailing her. The knot in my gut tightened. I considered if this explained Tessa's words, if Harper's actions made her think of loyalty, of us. I needed answers. Confronting Tessa without proof felt like stepping into danger. I spent the day distracted. My work at the ad agency blurred into half-finished slogans and ignored client emails. Every quiet moment pulled me back to Tessa's words, to Lucas's text. By evening I could bear it no longer. I found Tessa in our kitchen. She chopped vegetables for dinner, humming softly. She looked so normal, untouched by my spiraling thoughts. It almost hurt. I took a breath and spoke. I mentioned what she said last night about not hurting me. Her knife paused mid-chop. She turned, eyebrows raised. She said she vaguely recalled it. She wondered if she was sappy. She laughed. I stayed serious. I said it felt random and asked if something happened at the bar. Her smile faded. A flicker crossed her eyes. I couldn't tell if it was guilt or fear. She set the knife down. She leaned against the counter. She admitted she didn't fully remember saying it. She had been out of it. She swore nothing happened to her. I nodded, but my silence urged her on. She sighed after a pause. She said it was Harper. She explained Harper messed up. I pressed for details, my voice tighter than intended. Tessa hesitated, then revealed the truth. Harper was wasted. She flirted with a guy who wasn't Owen. It escalated, and they kissed, right there in the bar. Tessa saw it, and felt sick. She guessed that's why she spoke to me, to remind herself she'd never do that. My shoulders sagged. Relief washed over me like a tide. Tessa hadn't betrayed me. The relief faded fast, replaced by unease. I wondered why she hadn't told me. I asked her directly. She bit her lip, eyes dropping to the floor. She said she meant to but felt weird about it. Harper was her friend. She didn't want to judge her harshly. She thought it wasn't a big deal for us. Her reasoning held logic, but it stung. Keeping secrets, even small ones, felt too much like deceit. I told her so. She nodded, her face softening. She admitted I was right. She should have shared it. She apologized and promised it wouldn't happen again. She vowed to drink less when I wasn't around, for her sake and my peace. I believed her. A small voice in my head persisted, wondering what else she might hold back. I called Owen that night. I needed his side to confirm her story. He answered on the second ring, voice heavy. He said, Harper and he were done. He had caught her with some guy at the bar. It was over. I asked if Tessa was involved. He snorted. He said Tessa tried to stop her, told Harper to quit it, but she wouldn't listen. That detail was new. Tessa hadn't mentioned intervening. I wondered why she omitted it. Was she shielding Harper or hiding more? Owen's words should have calmed me. They only deepened the puzzle. I sat on our couch. City lights blinked through the window. I tried to fit the pieces together. Tessa was mostly honest. Harper had screwed up, and Tessa witnessed it. That explained her drunken vow, her need to prove she was different. Her silence about stepping in troubled me. I considered if it was loyalty to a friend or something else. I wanted to trust her, to bury my past ghosts, but doubt clung like damp air. I had been burned before. The fear of it happening again weighed heavy. Another twist came the next day. Lucas texted out of nowhere. He said he forgot to mention the guy Harper kissed had hit on Tessa first. She shut him down, but it was tense for a moment. My stomach dropped. Tessa hadn't said a word about that. I wondered if she spared my feelings or concealed something bigger. I stared at my phone, torn between gratitude for her loyalty and frustration at her secrecy. The truth felt slippery, just out of reach. This is just the start of my story. I'm still unraveling its meaning. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop it in the comments below. If you're hooked on this tangle of trust and secrets, hit that subscribe button to catch what's next. Thanks for being here. Candlelight danced across the birthday cake, warm and innocent. My words to my youngest son sparked something else entirely. They ignited a blaze that burned my eldest son's world to ash. Sam turned 16. Our suburban dining room buzzed with laughter and sugar-fueled chaos. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling. Their strings swayed like restless ghosts. My wife Nora, an elementary school teacher with a gentle presence, orchestrated the party with her usual grace. Her smile grounded us all. Sam, lanky and curious, tore into his gifts. He was a high school kid eager for the world. I watched him. Pride swelled in my chest. A shadow lingered beneath it. I had raised 3 kids. I wondered if I had done enough to guide them. After the cake, Sam pulled me aside. His voice was low. He said he had permission to start dating. He wanted my advice on keeping a relationship strong. Nora and I had built something solid over 2 decades, rarely clashing. Sam had noticed. His trust struck me deeply. It reminded me how much he relied on me. I settled into a chair. His expectation pressed down. I told him respect comes first. I urged him to listen to her, truly hear her, even when it was hard. I advised saying sorry and meaning it, even if he felt right. I stressed communicating always, or he would only hurt himself. I suggested ending every talk with a hug or kind word. I explained love isn't the foundation, respect is. Without it, he would build on sand. Sam nodded, absorbing it. I felt hope. I considered if I was finally getting this dad thing right. My chest tightened as I spoke. Giving advice before never felt this heavy, like passing down something sacred. Each word stirred memories of my own missteps, fights with Nora we had weathered, compromises that shaped us. I wanted Sam to skip my errors, to start stronger. A colder truth crept in. I pondered if I had shared this with my older kids. Caleb, my eldest, was navigating his own life. I hadn't sat him down like this. The realization stung. It was a quiet failure I couldn't shake. Caleb arrived late. His boots thudded against the hardwood. He worked as a car mechanic. His hands stayed smudged with grease. His jaw was set, as if he carried the world's weight. His girlfriend Zoe, a bartender with a quick laugh, followed him. She dropped a gift bag on the table. Her smile was tight. They grabbed cake and stayed briefly. Zoe remained quiet, her eyes fixed on the floor. I attributed it to a long day. Sam's chatter filled the room. I kept talking, weaving in lighter advice. I shared my dad's old saying about knowing a girl's comfortable when she's fine being herself around you. I joked not to settle down until then. Sam laughed. Nora swatted my arm, her eyes bright. For a moment, everything felt right. My phone rang the next evening. It shattered the warmth of that night. Caleb's voice roared through. He said I ruined everything, that Zoe dumped him because of my advice. My stomach dropped. The room spun. I tried to respond. He kept going. He said she heard me talking to Sam and now thought he was a jerk who didn't respect her. He thanked me sarcastically and hung up. I stared at the wall. My pulse hammered. I wondered how Zoe could dump him because of me. My words to Sam replayed in my head. Each one felt like a weapon now. Respect. Listening. Apologizing. I considered if I had painted Caleb as lacking in her eyes. Guilt clawed at me, sharp and unyielding. I had meant to lift Sam up, not tear Caleb down. Sleep evaded me that night. I paced the living room. Nora's soft snores drifted from upstairs. My mind churned, piecing together the party. Zoe's silence stood out, her tense smile vivid now. I wondered if she judged Caleb against my words. I saw him as a kid, rough but good-hearted, not someone who would disrespect his girl. Doubt slipped in, a whisper I couldn't silence. I considered if I knew Caleb as well as I thought. I feared I had missed something larger. The thought cut deep, twisting with every step. Ivy, my daughter, called the next morning. She delivered a shock. She had texted Zoe, piecing together the breakup. Zoe told her my advice struck her hard. She said Caleb never listened, brushed off her feelings like they meant nothing. She heard me talk about respect and realized she wasn't getting it. Ivy's words hit like a fist. I sank onto the couch. My head rested in my hands. Zoe deserved respect, but I hadn't meant to cause this. I aimed to guide Sam, not expose Caleb's flaws. Ivy added a chilling detail. Zoe said Caleb had been acting strange, as if hiding something. I wondered what he concealed. The thought burned, a spark of unease I couldn't extinguish. I drove to Caleb's apartment the next day. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. He lived across town in a small place cluttered with tools and empty cans. He opened the door, eyes hard, and let me in after a pause. We stood in his cramped living room. I started gently. I said I didn't mean to mess things up with Zoe. He cut me off. His voice was bitter. He said I made him look like an idiot, talking to Sam like he didn't measure up. I pushed back, saying I was helping his brother. The fight grew heated. Words flew, raw and sharp, until he slumped into a chair, his anger drained. He revealed a bombshell then. He said he got a job offer in a city 500 miles away, tripling his pay. Zoe wanted him to stay, tied to her family, but he leaned toward leaving. He said my advice made her think he'd never compromise, never prioritize her. My mouth went dry. This wasn't just about the breakup. Caleb faced a crossroads, and I had nudged him toward it unknowingly. He dropped another jolt. He admitted telling Zoe she'd handle all the housework if they lived together, because that was a woman's role. My heart sank. Shock mixed with shame. I had never taught him that. I wondered where it came from. He mumbled about online videos, guys preaching control and dominance. I stared at him. I saw a stranger in my son's face. I left his place hollowed out. The city blurred past my windshield. Caleb's choices weren't mine, yet I had failed to steer him right years ago. Those videos filled a gap I left, twisting his view of love into something ugly. I thought of Sam, of Ivy, and vowed to do better, to talk more, to listen. Caleb was slipping away, chasing a path I couldn't follow. Zoe's hint about him hiding something lingered like smoke, curling around my thoughts. I wondered what he kept secret. The question gnawed, a loose thread in a fraying tapestry. Nora noticed my strain at home. She sat me down. Her hand was warm on mine. I spilled everything. I shared Caleb's job offer, his warped ideas, Zoe's breakup. She listened. Her calm steadied me. Her eyes darkened when I mentioned the videos. She said she had seen Caleb pulling away, glued to his phone, snapping over small things. We had both missed the signs, lost in our routines. The guilt bound us closer, offering no solutions. I wanted to fix this, to pull Caleb back to the kid I raised. He was a man now, making choices beyond my reach. Ivy called again the next day. Her voice was hushed. She shared a sharper twist. Zoe had confided more, something she held back initially. Caleb hadn't just ignored Zoe's feelings. He had texted a coworker late at night. Zoe found the messages. They weren't blatant, but they sparked doubt in her trust. My breath caught. A cold dread surged. I wondered if Caleb was unfaithful or merely careless, swayed by those toxic ideas. Ivy begged me not to tell him she shared this. I agreed. The secret burned. It was another piece of him I didn't grasp, another crack in the sun I thought I knew. I sat alone that night. The house was still. My mind stormed. Caleb's job offer loomed larger, not just escape but a dodge from his mess. I feared he'd carry those beliefs, building a life on lies, or that distance might wake him to what he lost. I thought of Zoe, her strength in leaving, and wished I had taught Caleb to value it. My advice to Sam sparked this, but Caleb fueled the fire. I had lit it unknowingly, and now I watched it burn. Stars glittered like scattered secrets above the city. I kissed my best friend in their glow, and his words tipped my world off its axis. Miles had been my rock since we were kids, trading comic books and sneaking candy under the bleachers. He was a freelance graphic designer now, his sketches as bold as his laugh, and I was just me, drifting through life, wary of love's sharp edges. He begged me to join him at a friend's party, a loft pulsing with music and sweat. I rarely drank, my nerves too raw for liquid courage, but his grin was persuasive. One drink became 3, and the room spun, a kaleidoscope of lights and voices. I leaned into him, dizzy, and he guided me to the balcony, the night air cool against my flushed skin. We laughed, our old rhythm easy, and I aimed a playful peck at his cheek, a habit from years of comfort. My aim faltered, lips grazing his, and what started as a stumble became a kiss, deep and startlingly real. He pulled back, eyes wide, and said he loved me, not as a friend but with everything he had. My stomach lurched, not from the alcohol but from the weight of it. I mumbled something incoherent and bolted to the bathroom, splashing water on my face, heart pounding like a trapped bird. Miles was my safe harbor, the one person I'd never lose. Love could ruin that, could turn our history to ash. I avoided him the rest of the night, slipping out with a vague excuse, but his words clung to me, heavy and unshakable. Days passed, and I dodged his texts, my thoughts a tangled mess. I saw us as kids, building forts, promising to always have each other's backs. I saw us older, sharing secrets over late-night pizza, his steady presence a balm for every heartbreak I'd faced. But love? That was a gamble, a leap into waters too deep to see the bottom. I'd never been in love, not really, and the idea of it with Miles felt like betraying our past. Yet his kiss lingered, warm and vivid, stirring something I couldn't name. My chest ached with it, a pull between fear and longing that kept me up, staring at the dark. I turned to an online forum, spilling my confusion to strangers. Their advice varied, but one thread stood out. Figure out what you feel before you talk to him. Don't string him along. It was blunt, fair, and it forced me to sit with myself. I closed my eyes, replaying the kiss, and admitted it thrilled me, not just then but now, sober and clear. I imagined Miles laughing with someone else, his hand in hers, and my throat tightened, a pang I hadn't expected. Was that jealousy? Or just the fear of losing him? The distinction blurred, but one truth emerged. I needed to face this, to know if we could be more. A friend of his dropped a jolt a day later, casual but cutting. Said Miles had blown off a big client meeting to stay with me at the party, making sure I was okay. He'd never mentioned it, never hinted at the costs. My breath caught, guilt mixing with awe. Miles had always been there, quietly putting me first, and I'd taken it for granted. The weight of his sacrifice pushed me forward, urgency overriding my hesitation. I couldn't hide anymore, not from him or myself. I asked him to meet at our favorite coffee shop, a cozy spot with mismatched mugs and soft jazz. He showed up, hair messy, eyes cautious but warm. I started talking, words tumbling out raw. Said I remembered the kiss, how it felt right in a way I didn't expect. Said I was terrified of losing him, that our friendship was my anchor, and love seemed like a storm that could sink it. My hands shook, but I kept going, admitting I thought about him differently now, that I wanted to try, if he'd be patient. He listened, still, and then smiled, a slow, bright thing that eased the knot in my chest. He spoke next, his voice steady. Said he'd loved me since we were 14, watching me dance badly at a school talent show. Said he'd buried it, scared of breaking what we had, but the kiss cracked that open. My face burned, floored by how long he'd carried this, how well he'd hidden it. I'd shared every corner of my life with him, yet missed this, a secret woven into every moment we'd spent together. It was humbling, dizzying, and it shifted something in me, like a lock clicking into place. Then came the second shock, slipped in quietly as we talked. He mentioned a girl from his art class, someone who'd asked him out months ago. He turned her down, not because he wasn't interested, but because he didn't want me to feel pushed aside. My heart stuttered, a mix of gratitude and unease. He'd chosen me over possibilities, over chances at happiness, and I hadn't even known. It made the stakes clearer. If we tried this, I had to be all in, no half measures. I couldn't let fear hold me back, not when he'd given so much already. We agreed to take it slow, to try a real date, not just our usual hangout-serialized hangouts. I left the shop feeling lighter, like I'd shed a weight I hadn't known I carried. Miles grinned, teasing me about picking a fancy spot for our date, and I laughed, the sound freer than it had been in days. For the first time, I let myself imagine a future where we were more, where our history grew into something new. It was scary, sure, but it felt possible, and that was enough. My choices rippled outward, leaving scars and hopes in their wake. Each step taught me truths I couldn't unlearn. Tessa and I grew tighter, our talks raw and open, but I saw my doubts lingered, a shadow I had to face alone. Harper faded from her circle, her betrayal a silent warning, her absence loud in their group's laughter. Owen moved on, stronger, his resolve a mirror I held up to my own wavering heart. Caleb left for his new city, chasing money over meaning. I feared those toxic ideas still gripped him, a poison he might spread. I poured more into Sam and Ivy, their futures my redemption, their trust my anchor. Miles and I took our first date, hearts racing under city lights, but I knew love's path was steep, a climb we'd earn. One night, Tessa caught me staring, said I seemed distant. Her honesty stung, revealing my guarded walls, a final jolt to let them fall. Life hinges on trust, not fear. Truth, however brutal, builds what lasts. I learned to listen, to risk, to grow. This journey's done. Your thoughts on this end, satisfying or sharp, belong below. Like and subscribe to join the next tale. Thanks for listening.